Why I write what I write, a conversation through the work. I am often asked questions about my stories, not just about the characters or the plots, but about what people sense underneath the words. These questions come from believers, skeptics, creatives, gamers, horror fans, and people who are simply watching from the outside. I want to answer them honestly, because my faith is not hidden in metaphor by accident, it is there because it is who I am now. Question 1. Why does everything you write seem to point back to choice and consequence? Someone once asked me why my characters always face a moment where they must decide, even in children's stories, even in horror, even in game-related reflections. My answer is simple, because that is where my life changed. I did not come to Christ because I was perfect, I came because I finally saw the weight of my decisions. The Bible tells us in John chapter 3 verse 16 that God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. That verse is not soft, it is decisive. Believe or perish, life or death, light or darkness. So when you see my characters standing at a crossroads, you are seeing me. Question 2. Why do your heroes struggle so much, even after they believe? A reader once said, if your characters believe in God, why are they still afraid, angry, or tempted? Because belief is the beginning, not the finish. The Bible does not hide this. Romans chapter 7 shows the Apostle Paul wrestling with his own flesh. Even after faith, there is a war. I write believers who struggle because I am one. Sanctification is a process, not a montage. If my characters were instantly perfect, the story would be dishonest, and so would my testimony. Question 3. Why do you mix faith into horror and dark themes? This question comes up often, especially with the Journal of Survival and Elias Graven Moore. I used to consume darkness without discernment. Horror movies, anger, violence, fear, all of it shaped me before Christ. Now I write those same spaces differently, not to glorify evil, but to expose it. Light only matters where darkness exists. The Bible says in John chapter 1 verse 5 that the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. Horror becomes hollow when stripped of hope. I refuse to write stories where evil wins simply because it is loud. Question 4. Why do your children's stories still carry spiritual weight? A parent once asked me why my children's stories talk about obedience, trust, courage, and self-control instead of just fun. Because children are already learning theology, even when we do not teach it. If I can plant seeds of truth early, then when life tests them later, they recognize the voice of wisdom. Proverbs chapter 22 verse 6 tells us to train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Fun fades, foundation lasts. Question 5. Why do you talk openly about your past mistakes? This is the hardest question, and the most important. I do not hide the fact that I made terrible decisions. Those are the moments that broke me, and also saved me. If God can forgive that, then no one is beyond grace. 2 Corinthians chapter 12 verse 9 reminds me that His grace is sufficient, and His strength is made perfect in weakness. My transparency is not for shock, it is for hope. If God redeemed me, He can redeem anyone reading or hearing my words. Question 6. Why does Jesus always end up being the answer? Because he was the answer to my life, not my talent, not my intelligence, not my creativity. Every story I write eventually bends toward truth, because truth bent toward me first. Acts chapter 4 verse 12 says there is no other name under heaven given among men, whereby we must be saved. I believe that. So I write that. Not to preach at people, but to point them to the same hand that pulled me out. Closing reflection. Everything I write is a reflection of where I have been, who I was, and who Christ is still shaping me to become. If you see faith in my stories, it is because faith now lives in me. If you see struggle, it is because growth is ongoing. If you see hope, it is because hope is real. This is not just my work, it is my witness.